because the other part of the language that we want to use is we want to make sure that whatever we're telling ourselves is honest, that it's true, because our brains will immediately realize when affirmations aren't true. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Flow Over Fear podcast, where it is our mission to help you to rise above fear and realize your ultimate potential in leadership and life. I'm your host, Adam Hill, and it is my goal to share with you the human side of high performance. My guests share their experience with fear, anxiety, struggle, challenge, and most importantly, despite all of it, how they rose above it to achieve incredible results. So, if you're ready to rise up, let's get started. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Okay, if you got that reference, congratulations. You're as old as I am, or maybe older. And that was Stuart Smalley. Stuart Smalley was a character on Saturday Night Live that was essentially a representation or a caricature of personal development people at that time that were promoting affirmations. And his affirmations were, of course, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Not a very powerful representation of what affirmations really are. Am I right? Well, I'm going to talk about affirmations today, and I want to talk about them because they're kind of a polarizing thing in the world of personal development. Many high achievers, people who have achieved things, sit on either side of this topic. They either love them or they hate them. They say that they don't work, that they're total crap, that they're garbage, that they're frou-frou. Or there's other people that say that they live by them. They do them every single day, and it works for them, and it makes them believe in themselves. And what I believe personally on that front is I believe that both sides are right. And the reason I believe that is it kind of goes back to this Henry Ford quote, when Henry Ford said that whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. I know I'm paraphrasing that. I know I butchered it. So I apologize, Mr. Ford. Please don't come back from the dead and sue me. But I believe that affirmations are the same way. If you believe or you don't believe that they work, you're probably right. Because ultimately, affirmations are all about convincing ourselves and really empowering ourselves with the right language that we can do something. But there are a number of rules for them. I personally practice affirmations, and I've learned how to implement them in my own life to make them, work for me, to make me feel empowered. Because empowerment really, it's a buzzword, of course, and everyone wants to be empowered, and we believe that things empower us from the outside, but really, our empowerment comes from within. We are empowered. We can really do whatever we want to, whatever we choose to, whatever we want to go out and do, we can do. We're empowered, right? So we just have to believe that, and we have to immerse ourselves in it. We have to be consistent with it. We just have to go do it. That's the simplified approach. But when we think about affirmations, the reason that they don't work a lot of times is because we take the Stuart Smalley approach. We kind of just implement these affirmations that are good enough. We'll say something like, hey, yeah, I'm enough. And we'll regurgitate that without the feeling behind it, without anything to it, right? We'll pick up something from somebody else and we'll use that. Hey, I'm wealthy. I'm super rich. I'm the fittest person in the world. Those aren't really true at that point. And if you don't believe them, and if you're not putting the emotion and the feeling behind them, then they're not going to work. But I have I have 3 things that I can give you today that can make it so that your affirmations don't suck, that they're more empowering, that they give you that sense of that they bring up the inner empowerment that you have, and you will feel, if you are able to implement these, and if affirmations are your jam, because if they're not your jam, then don't do them. But certainly don't yuck the yum for people who do like to do them. But if you are into, or you're curious about, implementing affirmations in your own life, spending a few minutes a day doing these things, then these 3 things that I'm going to share with you are going to help you to build affirmations that give you more power. And if you stay through to the end, I'm going to give you a little extra something that you can that will hopefully help you to develop stronger affirmations of your own. The problem that people face with affirmations is that their affirmations suck. That's really the root of the issue. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Those are sucky affirmations. They're not going to do anything. You're going to stare it in the mirror and you're going to say them and they're just not going to work. A lot of people fall into that trap of just saying these. And the reason that they suck is because they're empty. They're stale. They come from somebody else. They come from what other people might be expecting of us. They don't come from our heart. They don't come from within. And of course, when they're empty and stale and when we don't believe in them ourselves, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So that self-fulfilling prophecy of just not really believing in them and continuing to say them gives us this defeatist attitude about affirmations that says, hey, they just don't work, right? So that's the main problem, is your affirmations suck. My affirmations suck for a very long time. Don't worry. There's no shame in that. It is just what it is. But if you spend some time on them, we can change that route. And those, when you're living in the world of sucky affirmations, you become kind of bored doing them, right? You're like, oh, great, I got to do 5 rounds of affirmations today, and it's boring. And you become cynical about it because they don't work. And then you get on that side of, well, affirmations suck. And so in order to not be a cynic about it, you have to kind of change the structure of how you're doing those affirmations. So it's not really the affirmations themselves that don't work. It's how we're practicing them. It's how we're implementing them, and it's how they're coming up from us. And it's the type of affirmations that we're using. So here are 3 things that you can do to make your affirmations not suck. The first thing is language. The language we use is really, really important here. And it's important that that the language that we use with anything is powerful. So we have to put power behind these affirmations. So instead of saying, "Hey, I'm good enough," or using the word "good," like I am good at tennis, or things like that. Use more powerful words. Use more powerful language, like remarkable. I am a remarkable tennis player. I am a master storyteller. I am a tremendous this or that. Use that type of language. So a good tool for this is to look into a thesaurus, or use ChatGPT, or whatever you want to use to find the most powerful words behind something. Because the other part of the language that we want to use is we want to make sure that whatever we're telling ourselves is honest, that it's true, because our brains will immediately realize when affirmations aren't true. So that's an element that we need to put into play when we're shaping the language around our affirmations, is that we're being honest. So for example, if you're going to, if you are $200,000 in debt, and you tell yourself, I have a lot of money, well, your brain is going to immediately know you're lying, and it's going to immediately pull the BS card. And so when that happens, it's going to shift that into, it's a sucky affirmation because it's just not true. Now, how can you turn that into something where the language tells the right story? So language is all about story too, right? So how can you shift something of being $200,000 in debt into something that is where you can change that into getting yourself on the right direction? Well, the first thing to do is to notice that the language that you use can put you on the right directional path. You don't want to tell yourself that you're in a particular place right now that you're not really in. You're not well off financially. You can't tell your brain that. It'll know the lie. But you can tell yourself, I'm in a temporary situation. There is a path out of this, and I have that path within me to make those changes. Something like that can change it. Now you turn that language into powerful language. You could turn that language into something that puts you on the right path, but also makes you excited about that path. So if you can engage that language to make you excited about going down the path you want to go down, then that is more empowering than telling yourself you're in a place right now that just isn't true. So, so what that does, the way the language works too, it also takes us out of the shitty language that we use. If we're in that debt situation where we're $200,000 in debt, we don't like that situation we're in. We tend to dwell in that story. I'm $200,000 in debt. This sucks. I don't know the way out. I don't know this. By nature, you're affirming that. That's an affirmation right there. You're affirming a negative thing that is keeping you in that situation because you're not actively opening your mind to seeing the ways out. If you could change your language, change your story about that, you can find a path out of it. So that opens your mind to finding a path out of it. So instead of dwelling in that spot, in where you're at now, instead of pretending that you're in a spot that you're not actually in and lying to yourself where your brain's going to call BS, open your mind through your affirmation to the direction that you want to go, that leads you out, that leads you on the path. This situation is not permanent. It is temporary. And there is a path out. And the path is within me to find. Something along those lines. And you can obviously use that to your own thing. And you could use that in fitness. You could use that in health. You could use that in anything, because we all fall into the traps everywhere of telling ourselves the shitty story. The shitty story of I'm not enough in this and I'm stuck here and I can't get out. Or I am unhealthy. I can't stop smoking. I can't get out. I can't stop drinking. I can't get out. You keep you're reinforcing that. You're reaffirming that. Find the affirmation of being honest with yourself, but also empowering yourself to find that way out. That is the way to change your language. And that first step of making your affirmations not suck. The second thing you want to do, the second part about making your affirmations not suck, is your energy and your physiology around that affirmation. So when you're practicing it, no matter when you're practicing it, if you do it in the morning, I do my affirmations first thing in the morning during my morning method, my morning P, if you remember what that is, presence, energy, and empowerment. I do my affirmations at that point. But I don't just look in the mirror and regurgitate them in the same way Stuart Smalley did. No, I put energy and my physiology behind it. Because when we bring energy to it, when we put our bodies into it, we are reinforcing the story. So now we have the language, which is the story that we have in this affirmation, right? Now we put our physiology into it. So if I'm reading, if I'm saying my affirmations in the morning, I'm using my hands, I'm using my body, I'm dancing around, I'm jumping around while I'm saying these things, because it is imprinting it in my soul that they're true. That's the power of it. And so when you're using that physiology, it's actually creating it's creating those neural pathways to actually create that joy around it, that excitement around it. And I even listen to music like Pitbull or something like that would embarrass my kids. I say that when I'm doing my morning practice, I need to dance around and listen to music that would embarrass me and embarrass my kids in front of me. That's the whole goal, right? And so think about it that way. But you want to put energy and physiology into it. So how can you dance around? How can you gesture? If you're watching the video, I'm using my hands a lot right now. But that's kind of the way that you want to do it. You want to put energy and physiology into those affirmations. And the final piece, the third piece about making your affirmations not suck, is making sure that they're grounded in reality and meaning. Now, I mentioned this with language, that the language you want to use is honest. You have to believe in your heart that this belief is reality. I mean, it is very, very possible for humans to visit Mars at some point in the future. We have not been there yet. Is it grounded in reality for you to say, I am going to, or that I am on the path to visit Mars one day. You might be, but but it's important to be honest and grounded in the reality of where you are. If you're an astronaut right now and you've taken your astronaut exam and you have been traveling to space with SpaceX or something like that, yeah, great affirmation, because that is probably within the spectrum of the path that you can take to get to Mars, possibly. So that's a good affirmation you have. If you've never been in the Air Force, you're an accountant, or maybe you just don't, maybe you have claustrophobia or aversion to space or things like that. Maybe it's not a good affirmation to have because it's not aligned with where you are in reality and where you truly want to be. So make sure that affirmation is grounded in reality. Now, important distinction here, not grounded in shame. Because by saying you can't, as an accountant, you can't go to Mars, I could be completely wrong on that. Because that's totally possible. But what I'm trying to say is don't shame yourself, or don't just because you're trying to find that reality, don't ground yourself in shame. There's a balance there. If you really want something, you can pursue it. In my own life, when I decided to pursue Ironman triathlon and decided that I wanted to qualify for the Ironman World Championship, I had no business saying that because I'd never done a triathlon in my life before. But I believed it so much in my mind that it became a conviction. It wasn't just this desire. There was this conviction, and I built a path backward from the Ironman World Championship to where I was at that time. And that path and building that path backward, I realized that it was possible for me, that I just had to take a series of steps one by one to get to that point. Now, mind you, it was very hard. It wasn't easy, but I was convicted. And that's an important part, that I was grounded in this reality of where I was, but I also realized that there was a tremendous meaning behind it, and that I'd achieved something previously that I never thought that I could achieve before, sobriety. And that was something I never thought that I could achieve before. And other people in the world were achieving this thing called the Ironman World Championship. Other people in the world had gone from not being an athlete to becoming a triathlete and qualifying for this event. It just took a lot of work. So there was a framework behind it. And so in that, it was grounded in reality. That's true of so many things on this earth. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be in business, if you want to start a business, if you want to make a 7-figure income, if you want to invest in real estate, if you want to find that true love that's in your life, if you want to become a great athlete or a great musician or whatever it may be, other people have done that in this world, meaning there is a framework behind it. There is a way to get there. Those things are grounded in reality as long as you are committed and convicted to achieve it. And that is where the affirmations come in. Those affirmations exist for our own self-belief, to keep that self-belief strong when we're convicted about something. Affirmations in and of themselves don't convict us. They don't make us convicted toward a pursuit. They reaffirm them. They strengthen them by making sure that our self-belief is empowered, is strong, is not corrupted. So keep that in mind, that it is grounded in reality and meaning. That the meaning behind that affirmation is important. So if you're able to include these 3 elements into your affirmations, and you're able to recognize them that well, if you include your language, how your language, and you're being honest about them, that you include your energy and physiology, and that your affirmations are grounded in reality and meaning, you can have more powerful affirmations that reaffirm your self-belief. And that's the important part. Your affirmations will not suck any longer. They'll be aligned. When they're aligned with your core values, with what you want to achieve, with what you represent, and they're grounded in that reality and meaning, and that they are aligned with your big, brave, and clear dream, then they're going to help you to get there, not just to feel empowered, but to feel convicted. Now, I have a set of my own affirmations, and I want to share them with you today. And as I share them with you, I'm also going to offer you this, that if you go to my website and you sign up for my newsletter, I will send you a copy of my affirmations. So that, not just so that you can use my affirmations to reaffirm your beliefs, but also, but so that you can develop your own around the same, like using similar language, or using language that empowers you, using terms that work for you. And so you'll notice that in my affirmations, these are all things that I believe in my core, but I use powerful language behind them. I use my energy and physiology, and they're grounded in reality and meaning for me. And so here they are. I am a master storyteller. I ask quality questions that produce quality answers. I was made to lead, and I do so exceptionally well. I have been given the gift of challenge so that I can show the world the beauty of growth. That's one of my favorites. I want to share that again because that is one of my favorites. I have been given the gift of challenge so that I can show the world the beauty of growth. I live a life of abundance and adventure, and I carve my own paths to fulfillment. I am an amazing father and husband. I create value at every opportunity. I speak and act with courage and authority. I am a model human being for my children. I am exceptionally healthy, and I'm a world-class athlete. I am healthy, wealthy, and wise. God loves me, and I love God. I choose to believe that I am responsible for everything that happens in my life, everything I am, everything I have been, and everything I will be. I choose to believe that the only limitations that exist are in my mind, and I choose to believe that I can overcome all of those limitations. I choose to believe that I am faith, I am courage, I am humor, and I'm gratitude. Now, how can I channel God's grace to be a blessing in the world today? That's every morning. I go into that, and I go into it with more power, more enthusiasm, more energy. And it's a great start to the day, and it's not a panacea. It doesn't work to just completely make me achieve everything. It just helps me to reaffirm that self-belief and reaffirm that joy and happiness that exists in my life. And it centers me on that point. Your affirmations don't have to suck. They can be powerful. They can center you, and they can help you to feel convicted. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Flow Over Fear podcast. If you'd like to learn more about getting into flow and learn the foundations of flow, I have a free video series on my website at www.adamcliffordhill.com called The Foundations of Flow. Feel free to go there and download it and start your journey to rising above fear and achieving greater flow in your life. And if you like this episode, and I'm guessing you did if you stuck around for this long, then please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, and you will receive notifications when I have new interviews, new recaps, and new trainings that pop up on YouTube. Thanks again for joining us.